Here we are. Welcome to episode 3 of
Souls in Sync.
That's Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we're feeling pretty happy with all the initial feedback that came back on episodes 1 and 2 and the bonus material.
Yeah.
So we're really grateful for that.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
So happy that you're here. This has been so much fun making this podcast. And we're going to just keep on going.
Yeah.
So here in episode 3, we want to talk a little bit about energy healing and how we both discovered that we had sensitivities that helped us understand our connection to energy healing.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes there's stories that go back to childhood, but I first wanted to talk a little bit about the Reiki session we had.
Yeah.
Right after, I think it was like the first coffee that we met and had.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about how Stacy said she really wanted to come for a Reiki session, and I happened to have time the very next day. And I said, if you want to, you can come tomorrow. And she came for a Reiki session. And first of all, that was strange. We hadn't even known each other for like a week with our reconnection.
Yeah.
And she's laying on the Reiki table, and I'm doing my thing. But when the session was over, she said, I have to tell you, I'm very sensitive to energies. And while you were working on me, I really felt your dad's energy around.
Mm-hmm.
And that really kind of blew me away.
Yeah, it was like in 3 places.
That
3
was
distinct places in 3 moments.
That was crazy because when I'm in my Reiki studio and I'm doing Reiki, I feel my father around.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like, wow, how crazy is that if she's tapping into an energy that I'm feeling, and can we both be on that literal same vibration and be feeling that frequency? And a lot of that is very, hard to grasp at first, but it's just all to say that, like, here we are saying we're souls in sync and we're literally on the same frequency. And in that moment, I truly felt like we were both sensing the same energy around us.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people who feel this and go into kind of like energy healing as fields of interest, they have a story that kind of goes back to childhood of something that happened when they were a kid. So I wanted you to share a story that you might have of something that happened in childhood that made you feel a connection to energy that way.
Yeah. So when I was 2 days after my 11th birthday, my brother was killed in a car accident.
Oh, that was terrible.
And he was 18, 19 years old. And I grew up in a house that was a 4-bedroom house.
Okay.
4-bedroom house. And so my brother, being the only boy, had his own room. My sister, Sherry.
Hey,
What's up, Sherry?
Shout out to Sherry.
Shout out. She had her own room because she was the oldest sister. And then me and my younger sister, Stephanie. What's up, Steph?
Hey, Stephanie.
She and I shared a room.
Okay.
And so after my brother died, after a little bit of time, we decided, or my parents decided that we would each have our own rooms now.
Okay.
And so, so I was 11. Stephanie's younger than me. She was about 9.
Okay.
And so Stephanie took my brother's old room, and that room shared a wall between my bedroom and her bedroom.
That must have been hard because did you love like having a room together, or were you excited for your own room?
Steph, no, we didn't really. Did we? Like, we fought a lot.
Okay.
We fought a lot.
The separate rooms was a good thing.
It was a good thing. It was a good thing. I think the only decision to be made was who was going to move and who was going to stay.
Got it.
So Stephanie went into that room, and but she was 9, I was 11, and our first times having our own rooms, so it was you're a little scared getting adjusted, and so we came up with this thing where we would knock at night before we went to bed, and so we would do that, right, and then she would knock back like that, and so we would go back and forth, and then she would do it, and I would knock back, and until we fell asleep.
Aww.
And so we had done it enough times to establish a routine for ourselves that's what we were planning on doing. And there was this one night where we were going through the back and forth, and I can't remember. Stephanie, you'll remember because your memory is much better than mine. But so you might remember who actually initiated the knock, but somebody did. And there was a long pause, and while we're waiting for the other person to answer, we heard coming from up in the attic or like above us was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was really wild. I could really still hear it today.
Wow.
And Stephanie and I kind of just looked outside at the door, to each of us, like, did you hear that? And yeah, I heard that. And when I was rethinking about the story, what I realized is there were other people in the house. I mean, my sister was sleeping, my mother was there sleeping, and they were not. I mean, the noise was so loud.
But they didn't hear.
They didn't hear it.
Wow.
But Stephanie and I did. And we knew right away, both of us knew right away that it was my brother, Shelby. We just knew that it was him.
And what made you feel that it was
And
him?
it was just, that's the thing. It was just a knowing.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Like you felt that it was him.
Yeah, there was no, and not even that we were seeking an explanation.
Yeah.
For what was that sound? And,
Wow.
well, it must have been that.
Right.
We were both like, that was Shelby.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was really wild. And now, even when I think about it, like, so we shared a wall, and the noise was above us in the attic, but it was like in between the wall.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, I can still it's so wild how clear, right, that moment was. But without question,
you felt it was your brother.
Yeah, we just knew, and
wow.
we just knew, and that was the way it was. So.
And then let me ask, did you continue that nightly knocking ritual after that?
Yeah, and I imagine, I think that might have been the end of the ritual. I think we satisfied that part of the ritual. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it brought us comfort knowing that we weren't alone.
Yeah.
And so we were okay there. It's always so funny with kids. I guess you could be afraid, or you could be like, oh yeah, that's just a fact.
Right,
that's
exactly.
just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said in episode 1, that like when we're kids, we have like this awe and wonderment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's so true. It's like we don't question things. We don't have the filters.
It just is.
Yeah. And so you guys both felt that, heard that, and you just, that's what it was
Knew
to
it,
you.
that's what it was, and that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then as you grew up, did you kind of always have that feeling that like those energies are around us?
Yeah, for sure. And related to my brother, and actually my mother's mother, my grandmother, who oddly enough, like, we weren't particularly close, my grandmother and myself, well, when she was living.
Right.
But she would show up in dreams. Like, we both dream a lot, and right, you and I.
Yeah.
And like, she would show up in these dreams and sort of take me places and like guide me places.
Oh, wow.
And,
So cool.
and so that's as an older person, but at this point now, I had to develop a spiritual practice and sort of really believed or understood the energy of vibration.
Yeah.
And, the energy of sort of different realms. And,
Right.
And
we'll talk about that as we progress with these stories, like how you can actually try to connect purposefully with energies like that.
Yeah.
But like, particularly when you're a kid, it's like you weren't looking for that. You were doing your nightly ritual, and all of a sudden something around you that you both found comfort in, because it made you feel like it was your brother's energy, which is beautiful.
Yeah. And like you were just saying, being open to that, just sort of maybe allowed that, welcome that in, or allowed us to experience that.
That's beautiful. And I had a similar story that happened almost around the same age. I was actually 10 when my grandpa passed away. But I had just spent the weekend with him. He was very healthy. He wasn't ill. And so it was, a huge shock. He died of like a massive heart attack, and it was a shock to everybody. But I was on the bus the day that he died, like coming home from school. And obviously, I'm on the bus, and I'm realizing now as I'm older that the state that you're in, like when you're on a bus and you're looking out the window and you're kind of just like daydreaming. Yeah. Unfortunately, kids don't get to do that anymore because they have devices and phones and games and all kinds of things.
Handy distractions.
Back in the day, we would just be on the bus. Imagine that. So I was one of the last stops, and so there weren't a lot of kids on the bus and not a lot of talking going on. And I was looking out the window and just kind of daydreaming, and all of a sudden I heard in my head, like clear as day, Opa died. And it was just that same thing you're saying. It was like a knowing. It was like my whole body got chills. I felt this extreme sadness, and I knew my grandpa just died. So I got off the bus. I walked up to my house. My mom opened the door. She looked like she'd been crying, and she was about to tell me. And she said, "Oh, Vicky, I have to tell you." And I said, "I know, Opa died." And when I think about it as a mom, like this was not a time of cell phones, or like how would I know that, or how would that message have been relayed to me? Like, but she just kind of hugged me and we cried. And it was a moment where, to me, it was just very beautiful because I felt like there was no question. It was like somehow there was a message relayed to me. Like, I thought at the time, I'm like, well, is that what happens when someone dies? Does God like tell you in your head? Because clearly the voice was just only heard by me. It wasn't like the bus driver heard it. Oh yeah, it was like no question. And it was like, you know, it was a very authoritative voice that was like, there's no question that this is not true. And it wasn't his voice. It wasn't a voice I knew. It was just a voice. And so I think when something like that happens to you and, you know, you're a child, like you said, it's like you're allowing it. You're not really questioning it. But it's also like, you know what you know. You know, there was like nobody, like, it wasn't something that like I talked about with people. It was something I kind of just knew within myself.
Yeah.
And I definitely knew that I was connected to something greater, that there was just a greater energy around us. And it was very much something that made me like a seeker, because that having that kind of experience.
I love that. I love that
like,
word.
Then you're kind of seeking out like, well, what was that? And you're aware of like, are there other things around us? And I was the kind of kid that, you know, I definitely was sensitive to energies around me. Like when I would go to sleep at night, I needed the night light and I needed my water. And I liked when our little dog would sleep with me. Like I had to be all, and you know, my brother and sister would make fun of me. Like they'd turn all the lights out. I'd be like, put a light back on. Like, because I think I always felt like things around, but not like in a scary way, but just like in an awareness.
Presence,
like,
presence of something. Wow.
And then it's interesting that as you get older and then you start to kind of study these things and understand, and you start to learn the vocabulary for these things, and, you know, which ultimately led me to studying Reiki and then doing what I do now. I think it's just kind of like you realize that the more you're allowing and the more you're trusting, the more that's kind of shown to you. It kind of opens. Was that your experience?
Yeah, and I feel it's almost like working on a muscle.
Yeah,
it's like developing a muscle. So you know that it might feel sort of weak at first, or you know it might have happened one time, and then you're like, oh, you really want that back again. But you know, sort of just you know allowing it, trusting it, and then also just letting that energy sort of present itself as it comes, right?
And kind of bringing back some of that childlike awe. You know?
Yeah. I mean, goodness, like we everything, you know, science seems to be catching up with this whole idea. Right? Where now, you know, I'm saying that you had shown me something, it was some report about they were talking about music and frequency and just sort of talking about how the whole idea of like, you know, nothing is really solid, or right, that there's more space in between.
Right. Everything has a frequency and a vibration.
And everything has a frequency and a vibration that can be affected. Positively, negatively, or you know, right?
Even by things like thoughts.
Yeah. So, you know, and it's just wild that science is now
validating
all of that. All of that information. And so, you know, so it's something that you can't see. And I think as kids, it's so easy for us to accept these things as kids, just the innocence of a child, right? You know, you spend all this time, like, you know, from what age 3 to 10 playing, imagining things,
creatively.
And so you're already sort of setting the stage for that space. And then sort of the age of reason comes in and maybe sort of boxes that stuff out. And so I just think that energy is around us all the time.
And it's starting, like you said, it's so exciting to be in this field at this time in our world, because it feels like it's exactly what you said, like science is catching up and measuring these frequencies. And you know, as a Reiki master, that's super exciting, because it's like, I know that I'm in a session and I see how working with someone's frequency helps them. But when it can actually be measured in a lab, and like those frequencies are measured before and after a Reiki session, that's phenomenal. And like with music therapy, when you're working with voice and you're clearing things using your own voice as like an instrument, and you're working with instrumentation and frequencies and sound.
all that same.
It's amazing.
And
it's
you
exciting
know, that
time.
same, it really is an exciting time. It's so wild.
Yeah.
I mean, so science says, oh, now this is valid. And it's like, oh, okay, it's valid. But
it's like people need that data.
Yeah,
Right.
but some people need that data. I mean, like, honestly, any way it shows up is great.
Exactly.
Right? Because it is real.
Yeah.
It really works. It is the truth, and I believe in it. And
and you know what's validating too? It's like the more stories that we have like this, the more stories we share with each other. Like I have sessions sometimes, and there'll be someone who be the last person that you would expect to share a story, and they'll just say, you know, my grandmother came to me, I saw a cardinal today, or oh, these butterflies in the park, I knew that was my mom coming through. Like people, the more you kind of crack open the door, they're like, they have the stories and they want to share. And so just kind of trusting and sharing is like a vulnerable like thing to be chatting about, but to kind of be feeling that it's more and more accepted is an interesting way of navigating it.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like in your Reiki session, because we just kind of were like, okay, sure, come to a Reiki session.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about that. Yeah.
You know, it's like that piece of like how you were able to connect with the energy, and you know, the fact that you felt my father's energy, that's a whole nother story for another time. But just in general, like how you felt frequency and energy in that session is interesting, because you are very sensitive and like you could feel your frequency.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll explore this in another podcast too, in a future podcast, but just about like a spiritual journey in general. You know, I think along that spiritual journey, I got introduced to different modalities, right? Like yoga or qigong or tai chi, and you know, and then just having the opportunity to work with massage, or like, you know, or just being on stage and like and feeling that energy and that exchange. So I believe in energy healing and energy work and all that stuff like that. I don't think I had ever had a Reiki session before.
Wow, I thought you had.
I think that was my first one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm honored.
But I was totally open to it.
Right. Yeah.
And super excited because, you know, just
the way it all happened.
Yeah, exactly right. So I was looking forward to that. But yeah, so it wasn't that difficult for me to get into what was happening, you know, because there's not a lot, I mean, right, there's not a lot of manipulation, right? It's not like a massage where you're like, you know, getting stretched or
barely touching.
Yeah. So, you know, it's almost like laying hands, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so but the energy, it was so wild. I mean, there was one point where you were sort of doing a body scan and you put your head on my forehead. My head lit up. It got so hot.
Wow, that's so cool.
It got so hot. But I had a lot of stuff on my mind.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, you know, it was this really interesting, you know, it was a really interesting experience just to even have.
Yeah.
But sort of already knowing that, I can work with this energy and that you are the guide here in this, I could feel moments where, oh, this is opening up, or like there was a lot of resistance, you know, or like, wow, must be some old energy here, because it's just not, you know, it's almost like squeezing your coal into a diamond, you know. It was like, it's really, I could feel this amazing. Like density, I guess would be the word,
right?
You know?
In spots where you had stuck energy. And,
yeah. But what was wonderful about the session working with you is that, you know, you weren't, you know, you didn't shift into some weird, like deep breathing and like, you know, it was it was a very like organic, you know, like you had a command in your voice, and a clarity, but it just felt very
approachable.
Yes. Yeah. It was like,
it
was just very comfortable and approachable. And like, if it was somebody who had never experienced that before, I mean, I had never experienced, but I'd worked with other modalities.
Yeah.
But if that was my first time,
I don't think it's necessary to act like a guru, or you're kind of in like this space where someone's like commanding the space or anything.
Yeah.
It's such it's just really is an accessible thing that I love to help people tap into their own energy and to realize that they're connecting with a healing energy that lives within them always. And it's like, I'm there to help facilitate bringing that out and connecting you with what's already there and helping you clear it.
Do you feel it's conversational?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's funny because some sessions are more conversational than others. Some people really want to come and like almost sleep the whole time. Like they're not even, like you have such a curiosity. Some people are just more like, yeah, I'm here to relax. Just help me relax.
I mean, but energetically, do you feel?
Oh, with myself and the energy.
That,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like
yeah.
That even if that person is not.
With the people, I'm like,
Yeah,
wow,
well, that as well.
sometimes I can be too chatty. But yeah, no, the energy is like the chakras really tell the story, So when you're kind of scanning and you're like, oh, so what's going on here in this heart chakra?
Yeah.
And why is it connected to the liver? And what's going on? Is there something? And that piece of it is what's so interesting to me, having been a TV producer for so long and being in edit rooms and like, going into like, a show and looking for the best clips to make a promo, So it's like, I love being in people's energy and trying to put the story together. And
that's so
that
cool.
piece, I really love it. It, for some reason, feels weirdly like being in an edit room to me. It's like I'm editing
where's the story?
Energy, yeah. Like where's the, what's going on with the main character? And
wow, that's so
fun.
wild.
Yeah. So I like that piece a lot. I like when people just kind of, allow me into their energy. And it's
because you would get some resistance.
Oh, absolutely. I was just going to say, some people are very blocked. They come and they're like, yeah, I really want this session. And they've got like their yoga pants. I just came from a yoga class. And you're like scanning them and you're like, oh my gosh, they're not open at all, and other people they're like, I never had this before, but I'm interested. And they're totally open. So there's different levels, you can think you're open and you're not, or you can be trying to be open, but your energy's resisting, you're nervous, there's all different ways it shows up. But you showed up very open.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready. This is going to be really cool. And it
cool.
was that, I think we even talked about it in one of the other episodes where that was the experience of like, it felt like coming home. It was such a familiar, like calming, I mean, like really, really reassuring, but like.
That's so nice.
Yeah, but like steady.
Yeah.
But kind of, I don't know. It was just kind of like, I got this. Like,
right.
We got this, and this is all good. And
but it's all about the connection. It really is. It's like I'm very careful when I was learning Reiki. My Reiki teacher was very careful to be like, there's no ego. It's not like, oh, you're very good at Reiki. It's like, it's the connection. It's like what the person is bringing into the session and what you are bringing to the person is what happens. It's totally an energetic connection, and it's beautiful. So thank you for trusting me with that.
Oh my gosh. Like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm curious then with that, how does that sort of reaching back into your childhood? Were you that kid?
What
you know what I mean? Like, were you sensitive to
like what kid? What kid was that kid?
She was that kid. Oh, I was that kid. No, but like, were you sensitive to other people's energy?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Was.
Or you were kind of like,
I think that, a couple times it got me in trouble a little bit. Like there was, there was one time I remember I was with my mom and she introduced me to this couple. And when we walked away, I had been kind of cold to the man. And my mom was like, what was the matter there? And I was like, I don't like him. And my mother said, what do you mean you don't like him? You don't know him. And then like a couple weeks later, something was revealed about this particular person.
Wow.
And in college too, it's like, I'd have a friend that would start dating a guy and I'd be like, I don't really like that guy. I'd just be careful, and something about his energy. And, that's not popular to say. Like someone's, they're like, happy date 3 and they're like, woohoo. And you're like, I think that guy is a real
bad vibes.
So it would be like you would shut down because people kind of be like, nobody wants to hear that. Really.
I do.
So it's kind of like, I think back then it's like, well, you're not in a Reiki room. You're just somebody who's like offering something up that maybe doesn't want to be received. So, I think it's kind of as you get older, you understand the pieces of what you're learning and how they fit together. And I think that what was interesting that we wanted to touch on in this episode was how you felt in that Reiki session and what your experiences were as a child and what
Yeah.
mine were, and sharing some of that. But I think in future episodes, we will share many stories about how energy affects us now in my Reiki practice and your music therapy, and how we work with energy to help people move stuck energy to feel like they're in a lifted, higher vibration. And one huge way to do that is by connecting with frequencies that have a higher vibration, like love and joy, you know, gratitude is a huge one, you know. And sometimes when you're having a day where like things are going wrong, or, you know, things in the world feel heavy,
like there's a lot. There's a lot.
And it's hard to feel like, oh, today I feel so grateful, you know. But those are the times where it's more important than ever to just take a moment and be like, okay, I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for my breath. Whatever it is that kind of brings you into that energy of gratitude, it helps to kind of alchemize that darker energy, and it does lift your vibration. And one thing that we are definitely feeling tonight is gratitude.
Yes.
And we feel a lot of gratitude for you guys, for being here, for allowing us to have a space where we can have these conversations and feel like you are joining us as we are catching up and discovering how we both kind of came into this space that we're so passionate about. So we're going to end this episode and continue with many more stories like this. And if you have any questions or comments, we are loving the way that you're interacting with us in the Instagram thread. And we hope that you'll continue to do so and tell your friends and really help us grow this podcast. We're so happy you're here. We have such gratitude for you that after this episode, we're going to tack on a gratitude meditation with sound and Reiki. And we hope that you'll enjoy that. And we hope we see you for episode 4. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
We're excited. It's the first Souls in Sync meditation. Here we are.
Yes.
And we're going to be mixing in some sound, some Reiki, and just generally, we want you to feel a relaxed vibe. That's the goal. So Stacy's going to start with a nice, steady drum beat. And I want you to just kind of drop in, whatever that means to you. If you want to close your eyes, if you just want to listen. The whole idea is to kind of get you out of your mind, out of any stress or anxious thoughts you might be having at this moment, and just really be in your body, hearing that drum beat. And once you start to hear that, if you close your eyes, or if you just want to sit peacefully, or maybe you're driving and you have to revisit this later, I want you to just breathe in for a count of 4. So take a nice deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, fill your belly, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and a third time, and exhale. Great. And even just 3 deep breaths like that really helps regulate your nervous system and bring you into the moment. You might notice you already feel a little more relaxed. Now the drum beat is going to start to fade, and we're going to replace that with some higher frequencies that we're going to play together. And I want you to bring your attention to your heart space. If you like to put a hand on your heart, or just in your mind be visualizing the space in your chest, I want you to breathe into your heart space. And just really fill your chest. And I want you to imagine that deep within your chest, there's a tiny light inside of your heart that's turning on. And whatever that looks like for you today, if it's a little tiny light, like a birthday candle, that's okay. If it's a big light, if it turns right on, even better. But whatever you feel, when you bring your attention to that light purposefully, and you really visualize that, and you start to breathe in, and imagine that light is growing and filling you from the inside. Really fill your heart with that light. And when you exhale, that light does not leave. It starts to grow and glow as you breathe in and out. It's growing and glowing. And the more you do this practice, the idea is that you want to really fill your whole chest with this light. And then you start to realize that it's not confined to your physical body. This light can move freely right out of your skin and into the room around you. So the more you breathe in and imagine this light, I want you to really imagine it growing so big that when you exhale, you send this light out into the room, into the space. And this light is starting to literally create like a spherical cocoon around you. This light is just growing out of you, wrapping around you, and holding you in this space. And all of this light is starting in your heart, moving through you, and creating this field around you. Inside this light, you feel lighter. You feel less stuck. You notice that you're out of your mind a little bit. You're not worried. You're not feeling stress from your day. Any thoughts that might have been stuck or ruminating are releasing. And if you're still struggling and you're not feeling that connected to the light, this is where gratitude really comes in. As you breathe in and you feel this light grow, think of things you're grateful for. Something simple like your breath moving through your lungs, the way it feels to be in this space at this moment, the beautiful sounds you're hearing in your ears. Maybe it's something that happened today that was special. And maybe you can go back in your memory. Think of times with friends and people you love, sharing connections with loved ones, memories. Every single memory from birth till right now lives in your energy. And when we connect with those beautiful memories, the joy, the love, those high vibrations, that light really starts to grow. It's easy to see and feel that light because you're connecting with the energy of the joy and the love and those high vibrations. And this is exactly how the energy of gratitude can help elevate your frequency, raise your vibration, and lift you quite literally. So now I want you to really pay attention. How are you feeling now with this heart light really kind of growing and glowing inside of you? Maybe you're able to feel it moving through you and around you, and offering these memories of gratitude one by one, feeling it grow even more. Just let yourself be in that space for a while. Take a deep breath in, really feel your belly filling as you're connected to that light. And exhale slowly. And if you want to open your eyes and bring yourself back to the space, if your eyes were closed, just really notice, how do you feel in your body at this moment, in this higher frequency, connected to the energy of gratitude, feeling the joy and the love and the high vibrations that are moving through you. And hold on to that feeling. And remember that you can bring yourself back here anytime by connecting with this light and these thoughts and just the power of your breath. And Stacy and I are going to play you out with some beautiful frequencies. And we're very grateful that you're here with us in this space. Thank you, Stace, for being here with me.
Thank you.
We're really grateful to have 3 episodes under our belt.
Yes.
And to have you as an audience. And we continue to love all of your support and your comments. And we hope that you'll be here next week for episode 4. Enjoy the rest of your day.